Good evening, everybody. This is Matt Kramer here. I forgot I did this um this video. This is from, let's see, what date was this from? I forgot. I've totally forgot I did this video. November of last year. Okay, so a year ago. Only 4 views. So let me react to this one, and if the audio is correct, if the audio is good. Let me react to this one. It's been a year since I've seen this, and it's only gotten 4 views. So let me see if I agree with this assessment or if I have to update something. And then we'll do other seasons, season 3, season 4, season 5, season 6, season 7, and next gen. If I can get to the video. Hour and 27 minutes. Can't believe it took that long. Oh, I think I do remember doing this video now. Sort of. Okay. But it's been a year. So let's view this video and discover seasons 1 and 2, which is good. That's good. Okay. I think we're able to watch. Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Matt Kramer here, and I am going to do another opinion video about specifically about Star Trek: The Next Generation, the best and the worst seasons. I've done best and worst seasons of 24. I've done best and worst Star Trek movies. This, which I just updated because those videos unfortunately don't have any audio. My bad. Now that's fixed. Let's continue. This time is going to be Star Trek Next Generation. Next video will probably be best of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So let me share my computer here, my screen, which I did not get to do. I may do that tomorrow, or anytime, really. I can do it all night if I wanted to. So let's finish this one, and then we'll move on to other seasons. And I just finished watching an episode of Next Generation from its first season called Data Lore, where they go back to Omicron Theta, where Data was discovered by a ship called the USS Tripoli. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Prime Wire here. This is where I watch all the movies and TV shows here. And I want to go to, that's so old, Star Trek. And I want to go to Star Trek Next Generation. So there's about 170 episodes of Next Generation. Come on. 177. There we go. Starting with the first, I'm going to do all 7 seasons. So this may be a pretty long episode video today. So season 1 is unfortunately not the best season. It's probably one of the worst. Especially because of the first 2 episodes. Encounter at Farpoint is actually one full episode. I believe it's a 2-hour episode, almost 2 hours. Yes. So E1 and E2 episode 1 and 2 are actually just one episode. And if you go to Encounter PowerPoint number 2, you go to the links on those, you may get the full hour, or you may not get any links at all on PrimeWire here. Naked Now is similar to another an original series episode having to do with a certain disease, contagious virus. The original series had that kind of episode as well. And this one is probably the worst and the cheesiest. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. Encounter 4 is the cheesiest, but this one's one of the worst. The Naked Now is honestly one of the worst, but it gets better. It does get better. Let's look at Code of Honor description. While involved in a treaty success when inhabitants of Lygon 2, Tasha is abducted and Picard is forced to abide by the inhabitants' Code of Honor to obtain her release. No, so this this is at the time. This is 1987. The civil rights movement was 20 years before this show came out. 20 years before was the civil rights movement, 1967. And 1967, by 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in 68, as well as Robert Kennedy, who was John F. Kennedy's brother. And John F. Kennedy was assassinated in 63. So this is a very, I believe, this is a very controversial episode here because it has to deal with slavery, I believe. And Picard does his best. So this episode, Code of Honor, is not the best episode. Okay. The Last Outpost is actually better. This is the first encounter with a Ferengi since, chronologically speaking, it is the first encounter with a Ferengi since Picard had to abandon the USS Stargazer. And of course, this is long before, about 20 years before his tenure as captain of the USS Enterprise. So Last Outpost is pretty good. I'm gonna stop here. Like the episode where I think it's called Carbon Creek in Enterprise, where it shows T'Pol's ancestor, great grandmother, I think it is. T'Pol's ancestor visits Earth through a malfunction of her ship. Her and two other gentlemen, Vulcan gentlemen, and that is the unofficial first visit of an alien species to Earth before first contact. But the Ferengi encountered the crew of Enterprise before Last Outpost, about 100 years before the Last Outpost. So the Last Outpost is now officially not the first encounter, besides the Battle of Maxia. The Last Outpost is now not the first official look into or engagement with the Ferengi. And of course, with Deep Space Nine, most certainly not the last. Okay. So I just want to put that out there for sake of correction. That's Outpost is pretty good. There's a little sexism in this one, uh, from the Ferengi character's point of view. It's a little sexism, but it's better. It's better than the first four. A lot better than the first four. Where no one has gone before has to do with a species known as travelers, I believe, and
The Traveler.
it's actually a fairly good episode to where the Traveler sends the USS Enterprise, I believe, 70 light years from Federation space, or is it that might be another episode? Okay, teenage Western Crusher and a dying alien, that's the Traveler, are the crew's only hope for escape from a bizarre galaxy where thoughts become real. That's very interesting. Okay. Next episode is in season 1, Lonely Among Us. This has to do with a delegation of 2 different aliens. One alien looks like sort of like lizard cobras. And the other is like a wolf type creature. And Tidians, I think. Passing through a series of complex energy patterns, the Enterprise crew finds itself trying to solve the mystery surrounding the death of Assistant Chief Engineer Singh and the altered personalities of Lieutenant Worf, Dr. Crusher, and the Captain. Altered person. Oh, maybe this is not. I think this is. Let me check Star Trek wiki about this. I think this has to do with the lizards and the beasts of so I have to look this one up because I may get the scenario incorrect. So let me look up Lonely Among Us. Lonely Among Us episode, yeah. Alien life. Yeah. Transporting delegates, that's one. And that is a latter part of the episode. Some kind of electrical current goes through. Okay, they're transporting delegates. An alien life form wreaks havoc. This is the alien life form here. Okay. Worf gets shocked. Crush absorbs the energy. Blah blah blah. They kind of lose him here. Okay. So Antikins. Okay, Antikins and the what's the other one? Antikins. Let's see here. Antikins and Selene. That's the one. Antikins and the Seleans. Which one is the beast one? The Selayer or the beast? No, the Selayer. Okay, that is one where they get a death sentence. He gets a death sentence because he broke into a garden area that was covered. He was playing ball with the inhabitants of this planet, and that's what happens. He gets a death sentence, but Picard intervenes. The planet is called Edo. And there's a ship just in orbit of this, and the Edo people believe that this ship is God, small g, is their God. So that's interesting. No, among us. Let's go down. Okay, so that's justice. It's a little faith type episode here. Excuse me. Next is the battle. This is where this is the first time that Picard sees his old ship. The first time in 25 years or so. So he was a stargazer, and he's always complaining about having headaches. And this is an interesting episode. Okay. Justice was a good episode. This one's a pretty good episode. It's a mind altering device. It's circular, and then one is left in Picard's quarters. The other is in the hands of a Ferengi by the name of Damon Bach, who accuses Picard of murdering his son at the Battle of Battle Maxia in the Maxia Zeta system. So this one's actually a pretty good episode. I like this one. So season 1 is not as bad, but the first 2 episodes are pretty bad. They're very corny. Q comes back. Q Q appears for the first time in Encounter at Farpoint, John Delancey's character. And John speaks in old English, old King's English. These days, Alan Dines. And his entrance was not the best. Okay, the character Q was written a lot better, especially here and in later episodes of the series. I wrote a fan fiction based on the Battle of Maxia from the Kelvin timeline point of view, because they're still trying to figure out what to do with the Kelvin timeline crew of the USS Enterprise. Chris Pine, Jacques Quinto, Carl Urban, and all those guys. I'm still trying to figure it out with the death of Anton Yelchin a few years back. So I decided to write a Kelvin timeline story on fanfiction.net. You guys can look that up. This one is okay. This one has to do with Q granting powers to Commander Riker. And Commander Riker kind of goes along with it for a bit, but he realizes that his powers are not what Riker wants. So later in the episode, he kind of says to Q, hey, this has got to stop. I made a mistake in getting these Q powers or whatever. So it's an okay episode. Counselor Troi, okay, this is called Haven. Counselor Troi faces an arranged marriage when the Enterprise arrives on the planet. Okay, this is a little weird. How can I say this? Some kid has things of a woman in his dreams. He thinks it might be Counselor Troi, but then they find out the Enterprise encounters another group of people, and they find out, okay, yeah, well, this blonde girl is the one, not Counselor Troi. It's an okay episode, to be honest with you. It's not the best, but certainly not the worst either. The Big Goodbye is the first episode where we see anyone, especially Captain Picard, go into the holodeck. And this is the first time he experiences his Dixon Hill novels that he used to read about when he was a kid. I think there were books when Picard was a kid, and then it became a holographic program taking place in 1930s Chicago. No, 1930 San Francisco. I think, yeah, San Francisco. And it's a better episode. He goes in first in his Starfleet uniform. Big mistake. But then he goes back in the appropriate attire, sort of like a Sherlock Holmes almost, or some kind of private investigative, private detective. This was not a bad show. Um, a character in those stories just introduces Cyrus Replock. Dixon Hill is played by Picard. And there's another character in there, I forget his name. It's kind of funny. It's a good episode. Honestly, it's a good episode. You get to see Patrick Stewart smoke a cigarette for the first time. Pretty funny. This one's probably the best episode, I think. One of the best episodes of season 1. Okay. Next episode after the Big Goodbye is Data Lore. This one's probably one of the best episodes also. They go back to Omicron Theta for the first time in 26 years or so. And Data gets retracts some memories of his first time being discovered by the USS Tripoli and what happened after that. He leaves. He's on a slab of concrete. The colonists escape, or the colonists are killed by this crystalline entity in space. And we encountered the crystalline entity at least 2 more times in the series that I know of. And they find Lore, who happens to be Data's brother. And in Star Trek Nemesis, they find another brother, another android called B4. And B4 was one of the first of the 6 total androids attempted to be built. And unfortunately, only 3 of the 6 were successful. Lore, Data, and B4. We get to see Brent Spiner be Data and Lore. At certain times, he's using contractions. At certain times, he's not using contractions in the speech. And he, as Lore, he's very devious, I believe is the correct word. So this was one of the better episodes and one of the best, and one of the first times that the same actor plays 2 different characters. That's the first time, I think, in television history that happened. And Brent Spiner did a very good job on this one. Very good job. After Data Lore is Angel 1. They try to find a crashed Federation freighter on a planet that is ruled mostly by women. And this is the one where I believe Worf gets a little sick for some reason. There's a disease going on. And Worf, we hear Worf sneeze. And that's a first for Michael Dorn, I'm sure. Now, whether those sneezes are real or fake, I'm not sure, but it's a good episode. Next is this, where the Enterprise crew encounters a species known as the Binars, who use numerical speech as communication. The Enterprise is going through some updates and or upgrades. The Enterprise computer, and somehow, for some reason, the Binars probably unknowingly they hijacked the Enterprise. And this is the one where I believe Riker meets Minuet, a holographic character in a bar. Yeah, a bar. And we see Minuet again in another episode. In the later season. This one's an okay episode. It's an okay one. Next is Too Short a Season. An admiral, I forget his name, but the Admiral Mark something. Somehow, this Admiral Mark person, first of all, he's like 80. Admiral Mark Jameson, that's his name, or 90 years old. It's played by a young actor, but he's 80 or 90 years old, but he's de-aging through some kind of medication he's taken. And the younger he gets, Mark Jameson, what's his name? The younger he gets, the more fit he is. And there's a world that he goes to, that the Enterprise goes to. There was negotiations about 40 years before this episode, and they want to try again. And unfortunately, Mark Jameson, his wife is elderly, but he de-ages through some kind of medication. But unfortunately, by the end of the episode, Mark Jameson dies. Admiral Mark Jameson dies. Very interesting episode. Very interesting. Too short a season. Next, When the Bow Breaks. This is kind of I wouldn't say corny. It's not one of the best episodes, where a group of people abduct children and try to get them, try to adopt them. But Picard, of course, intervenes and says, this is child abduction, child kidnapping. It basically is wrong. It's basically against galactic intergalactic law, really. And there's a way to reverse that. And there's a computer on this planet called the Custodian. It's interesting. Home Soil. Now, I watched this yesterday or the day before. This is the first time where a different kind of life is discovered. There's a mining, or not, it's a terraforming base, and they're trying to terraform Valara 3, and they discover microscopic creatures who kill an engineer, Mendelsohn. There's Director Mandel. There's a lady whose character name I forget, but two of the gentlemen. One of the guys goes into a room where they're pretty much digging holes with laser guns, and unfortunately, the laser guns kill the engineer. And Data destroys the ray gun, and they discover that there's life. What that life is, we don't know. I don't think there's a name for that kind of a life, but it's an okay episode. Actually, it's a pretty good episode. Ugly bags of mostly water. That's what they call. That's what this microscopic creature calls humans. Ugly bags of mostly water. Pretty good episode, actually. Coming of age. Let's just put to the test as he competes with the two top candidates to get into the Starfleet Academy. Meanwhile, the Enterprise is put under scrutiny for a Starfleet officer that seems to be looking for trouble. Coming of age. Let's see about that one. I'm back on memoryalpha.com here. Let's look at coming of age. Heart of Glory is one of the best. It's the best episode of season 1. Coming of age. Oh, this guy. This Remick guy, I don't like him. I really don't like him. And then there's another guy. This dude, Jake Kurland. I guess he's a Starfleet officer who defects from the Enterprise, I guess. Oh, he's just a young civilian who's trying to get into Starfleet Academy. And he fails, unfortunately. So, anyhow. So this Remick guy, I don't like this character at all. I don't. Him and the Admiral in another episode are controlled by parasites that crawl into your ear. Pretty ugly. And sort of like the creatures from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Same exact thing. But those went through the ear. This one, I think they go through the mouth. I think these parasitic creatures. I think so. So this is an okay episode. It's not the best. It's not the best. But Wesley faces his fears, according to this one, and he passes the exam to get into Starfleet Academy. So it's an okay episode. This next one is the best episode of season 1 because it has Worf defending his ship against some renegade Klingons. who um, take control of pretty much take control of the Enterprise. They're on the run. They escape on the Borelian cruiser. Um, they destroy the Klingon vessel to make their escape. I think is it Borelian cruiser, the Batches, I think it is. And Worf kind of teaches them a lesson in duty and honor and stuff to these renegade Klingons. It's one of the best Worf episodes of season one. So I really like the Heart of Glory. After Heart of Glory, Arsenal of Freedom is sort of like, it's not the best episode. Arsenal of Freedom, where they go down to a planet and they're looking for, I think the Enterprise crew is looking for a ship or crew from a ship. And one of these guys that Riker used to know is actually a facsimile created by a computer on the ground who it's like the drones of today, similar to the drones of today. There's a fact, it's just a simulation created by a computer, and there's drones, and they're killing all the people on this planet. So it's a okay episodes. It's the first time first time Picard and Crusher are together on a mission. Crusher breaks her leg. Picard tries to do her best to take care of her until the crew comes back. Data jumps down 27 point something meters down, and not 27 meters, 7 meters, 7 meters down, and I want to say that it's I don't think they destroy the computer, but they shut it down. They shut it down. Again, it's not one of the best episodes, but it's an okay episode, I guess. Next is Symbiosis. This has to do with a group of people who are addicted to drugs, and they threaten the life of they pretty much threaten the life of the crew of the Enterprise. And it says here, the disease causes this drug addiction, causes Picard to consider the Federation's prime directive and why it is necessary. Interesting. Next one is Skin of Evil. This is where Tasha Yar is killed. Tasha Yar is killed in this one. Behind the scenes, there were problems in writing and the direction of characters and actors' personal problems with the writing, the crew, the direction of the show. And Denise Crosby left. Her character was killed off and she left. Luckily, she came back as Sela in is it reunion? No, it's not. It's Redemption, I believe it is. It's the first time we see Sela. So this has to do with a black oil like creature capable of infinite sadism. I forget the character name or the creature species name. The name was Armus, by the way. The material used that Commander Riker went into, and I may say this later, but was Metamucil and black printers ink. And I think LeVar Burton said Frakes, Jonathan Frakes, only you could have done that. No one else would have done that. So it's a crazy episode. The kill Tasha Yar, Denise Crosby's character. We see Denise Crosby come back again, as I said in the video. In Redemption, we see her in Unification Part 2. And later we see Sela in Star Trek Online, which is cool. So, Star Trek Fleet Command, I think we have Sela in Star Trek Fleet Command as a character. I believe so. Yeah. Moving on. But it could be one of the first scariest episodes. One of the first frightening episodes of the show. Next episode is, we always have Paris. Captain Picard reflects on the missed liaison at a Paris cafe years in his past. The Enterprise gets a distress call from a scientist who is experimenting with time rifts and is married to the lady he was supposed to meet in Paris all those years ago. So this I want to say this episode is not one I would watch over and over. This episode is probably one of the most boring ones of season 1. So I'm going to move on. Next is Conspiracy. This one's a good one. This one. Oh no, that's not the one I'm thinking of. The Neutral Zone is the one I'm thinking of. That's the last episode of season 1. Conspiracy has to do with Remick and this admiral, I forget his name. And they are controlled by parasitic creatures. And this is the episode, I think, where they I think they have to blow up the body of Lieutenant Remick. That's probably one of the grossest scenes in a TV show of that time. One of the grossest. So, yeah, this one's not for little kids. Let me tell you that right now. It's not for little kids. Next is the Neutral Zone. This is probably the funniest episode. It's the first episode we encounter Romulans, but it is the funniest because of the guests that come in onto the Enterprise. They are in cryogenic tubes, and there's about 10 or so, 15 or so cryo tubes, and only 3 survived this trip. They've been adrift in space for probably 100 or 200 years. And by the end of the episode, they are getting red alerts that a Romulan ship is coming. And the Romulans are saying pretty much, we're back. The worst part of this episode is, and I'll show you what it is. Mark Alamo, pretty good actor. He did Gul Dukat, and he also played Gul Macet in a couple of episodes. But there is another Romulan. There's another Romulan sitting right next to him. I do not like this character. I do not like the way he speaks. I'm looking at his name, his character name. Look at his name. I don't like this character at all. Neutral zone. Neutral zone. Neutral zone for the TNG. That's the one. This guy I do not like. Okay. I don't like him at all. These are the funniest guys I've ever seen in an episode. Funniest. Especially the one actor. I'll get his name. This one's a good one. This is Offenhouse. This is the Romulan ship. Tabak. Okay. That guy is played by, I think that's Marco Lemos' character in this episode. This Sunny guy. Okay, so I'm gonna get the. Marco Lemo is Tabak. This Ty Anthony James guy, I don't like his character. I don't like him at all. Sub Commander Tay, I don't like him. Anthony James. Oh, Ty, whatever. He's yeah he passed away last year. But I don't like the way he spoke. I may have mentioned this in another episode, another video. It's fun. This episode called the Neutral Zone is funny, but it's also got its bad spot, and it is this Sub Commander Tay character. Okay, that's my opinion. And I'm going to stop here and say, um, the actor who played L.Q. Simmons, I think his name is, funny guy. Um, he was in the movie Gridiron Gang with Dwayne Johnson. I think one of the first Dwayne Johnson films was Gridiron Gang. Uh, very good movie, football movie. Um, actor who played him behind this. Oh, come on. Clemens. LQ Sonny Clemens. LQ. LQ Sonny Clemens. Leon Rippy. Leon Rippy's fun. He was funny in this episode. Okay. Very, very funny. Good job, Leon, for that. Yeah, okay. So we're back. So now we're gonna continue. I just want to put that name out. Leon Rippy played LQ Sonny Clemens. That's season one. That's all season one, I think. Season two is better. Um, Deanna Troy becomes pregnant. Not to mock the birth of Jesus, but she becomes pregnant, and there's a doctor that comes in. He beams aboard these chemicals or these chemical reactions, these atoms or whatever, and excuse me. And there's one chemical that's in there that is trying to escape, and it is the same chemical that the same whatever it's called. There's a word I can't think of right now, but it's the same thing that's inside Deanna Troy's child. And so Deanna Troy's child dies, goes back to his original form, and the ship is okay. So it's a pretty sad episode. Unfortunately. So let me say it's okay. The topic of abortion shows up in the very early part of this episode. And of course, this is the season where Diane Mulder takes Crusher's place, or Gates McFadden's place, as the chief medical officer. There was some dispute. For some reason, they wanted to fire Gates McFadden in the first season, after the first season, so they got Diane Mulder in this season. Should Diane Mulder have stayed on when Gates McFadden returned? Maybe. But of course, that never happened. And we don't see Diane Mulder again, period. Except for books, latter books. But it's a pretty sensitive episode, really, honestly. So it's okay. Next one is Where Silence Has Lease. This has to do with Nagilum, a creature that experiments on humans, tries to get their experiences on death. Very Nagilum is a creepy character. He's a creepy species, really. So Not the best episode, not an episode I will watch over and over again. Okay. Next is Element. This is a pretty good episode. We get to meet um, Professor Moriarty for the first time in this one. And Professor Moriarty in the holodeck recreation of Sherlock Holmes novels, Professor Moriarty gains sentience. He is able to control the computer and control the movement of the Enterprise, which is interesting. And we see Moriarty again in later episodes. Called Ship in a Bottle. And we bring back Moriarty in season 3 of Star Trek Picard coming out next February. That would be really cool to see him back. Daniel Davis, I think his name is. Or Davis Daniel. I think it's Daniel Davis is his name. I look forward to seeing what they do with Moriarty's character and Lore. We'll see what happens to Lore in Star Trek 3 of Picard. At least one later episode. And then in a book, he is seen again in a book that takes place after, I think just before the Nemesis movie, I think. Anyway, so this is a pretty good episode. I actually like this one. Next, the outrageous Okona. Data consults a comic. That is funny. That part's funny. Okay, this one's an okay. The comic is played by Joe Piscopo. Episode, honestly, surrounding Okona and all these guys. So it's an okay episode. It's not the best, but this part, this is the first episode we see James Cromwell play a character. First appearance of James Cromwell in this is this episode. Later, he comes back as Jaglam Shrek in Birthright Part 1 and 2. More Part 1. And of course, as I mentioned before, in the ranking of the films, Star Trek First Contact. Where Data consults a comic. He wants to experience more humor. That's actually pretty funny. It's just pretty funny. So kudos to Brent Spiner for that one. This one's probably one of the best episodes of season 2. It has to deal with a deaf person, a real deaf actor. And this is the first time I've seen Deanna Troi and Data work together to try to communicate with American Sign Language, of course, with this character called Riva, I believe it's called. It's a character name. This is probably one of the best episodes in season 2. I really like this one. Loud as a Whisper. The Schizoid Man. This one's a little weird because a brilliant dying scientist is old, and he's a contemporary of Dr. Noonien Soong, who creates Data, Lore, and B4, and all the other androids. He's a counterpart to, but also I think he studied positronic matrices before Dr. Noonien Soong did. but Dr. Noon soon went further along, I think. This one's an okay episode, but somehow the consciousness of this dying scientist, and I forget his name, it doesn't matter, is Dr. Ira Graves, is taken, is transferred into Data. Ira Graves is his name. No. Yes. So Ira Graves? Yeah, it has to be Ira Graves. What is the name of? There's another Ira in 24. I wonder if that's the same season 1. Really? Dr. Ira Graves, Andre Drazen. Ira Gaines. So Ira Gaines is 24. Ira Graves is this episode here. Shy Joy Man. Excuse me. This one's an okay episode. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. And very interesting. Very good. Next, that's also the first episode we see Dr. Salar, and Dr. Salar is played by Susie Plaxton, who later becomes Kalar, who is Worf's first wife, pretty much. Unnatural selection to go to a unresponsive Federation ship, and Dr. Pulaski contracts a disease and starts to age. This is probably one of those episodes where makeup artists should have won an award for this episode. Best makeup design, best makeup artists for this episode, because, and also the one called I think it was called Coming of Age. We just went through that one with Admiral Mark Jameson. That one should have won an award for makeup art or makeup design, whatever it's called. This one also should have gotten an award for great makeup. So, Unnatural Selection, it's a pretty good episode of season 2. Next one is A Matter of Honor. Okay, now this one's one of the best. This one's one of the best of season 2 because Riker is volunteered to be a part of the Officers Exchange Program. And in an episode called Sins of the Father, that is actually reversed in the next season. It's actually reversed because Kern in that episode, not this one, but Kern, Worf's brother, volunteers his time on the Enterprise. But his real mission is to find his brother, Worf, and to have Worf answer to the allegations that their father was a part of the destruction of the Kinderberg outpost and all that stuff. This one is the first time where an officer exchange happens where Riker volunteers his time on a Klingon battle, on a Klingon, is it battle cruiser or a Klingon ship? It's called the Pach, and there's a micro life form growing on the hull of the ship, and so they do that. Anyway, so they okay. Two things. is before Riker leaves to go onto the Klingon ship, he samples every Klingon delicacy from the home planet Kronos. This food just looks absolutely disgusting, honestly. And how in the world Jonathan Frakes ate all that food is beyond me. I'm sure Jonathan Frakes got sick after eating all that stuff. I'm sure he did. Um, if he didn't, he's braver than me. But uh, Gach, Pipius Claw, um, Heart of Targ, Rokek Bloodfly, and all these other Klingon delicacies. Um, just crazy. And another funny one is where Riker challenges the captain of the Klingon ship, but instead of killing him, he transports the Klingon captain to the Enterprise. That's actually pretty funny. So this is one of the best episodes of season 2, A Matter of Honor. So kudos to Jonathan Frakes for that one. Okay, kudos. This one is a courtroom drama episode having to do with whether Data is a living sentient android or if he is the property of Starfleet. Both Riker and Picard have to go head to head on both sides of the issue of Data's life, pretty much. This is probably one of the best episodes for both Commander Riker and Jonathan Frakes and Patrick Stewart. And Guinan gives Whoopi Goldberg gives some pretty harsh reality truths about this court drama. You'll see in the episode if you've seen it before. Bruce Maddox is a character who shows up only once in the series, but he's mentioned twice. Another time he's mentioned is in Data's Day. The other time he is mentioned is not until the character, not the same actor, unfortunately, but Bruce Maddox is mentioned and seen through another actor, but seen by the crew of the La Sirena in Star Trek Picard season 1. And that is cool. That is cool. So this one is probably one of the best written episodes of season 2. That's my opinion. We're getting close to lunchtime, so I'm gonna really hurry on this season. I'm just gonna do seasons 1 and 2 for now. The Dauphine has to do with metamorphosis, where people are able to transform into monsters, and Wesley falls in love with one of those monsters, where she becomes the leader of a planet that is in constant war, I believe. It's a pretty good episode. I really like it. Really, it's really cool special effects. Where both ladies, older and a younger lady, when they transform into monsters, I believe there's different actors who are in those monster suits. And the way they transform in the show is really, really cool. I believe that's one of the best special effects episodes in this series is that one. And this is just the second season, by the way. Next is Contagion. Contagion has to do with the Iconians. And the Iconians are never seen again until Star Trek Online. We don't see the Iconians in the series. We don't see the Iconians, period. But we do know about gateways in this episode. And we learn how old the Iconian civilization is. They thought it was deserted. They thought all the Iconians were extinct. Apparently not, because they come back in greater power and form in Star Trek Online. And that was cool. That was really cool to see Iconians in Star Trek Online. I don't play that game anymore. I've stopped playing the game. They got new content that has to do with the mirror universe, which I never really liked. So I'm not going to play the game Star Trek Online until they come back to Prime timeline. So it's going to be a while till I come back to that game. I had a problem with that, as you know, with the game itself. And so I'm not. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. Let's continue. I'm going to come back to that game. And probably until further notice. Probably not until next year. Next year, I will stop playing that game because I don't like what they did with the Zen and the. I think my account either got hacked or it got disabled or suspended for some reason. I don't know, but I don't have that account with Arc Games right now. So just let you know that. But this one is really good. This one really, really good. Has to do with gateways and stuff. And data's disabled in this one. It's pretty cool. So this one's a really good one for episode season 2. Next is the Royale. This is one of the funniest episodes where Riker, yes, Worf, and Data are in a casino. Casino Royale. I think this is San Francisco. Is it San Francisco or New York? It's one of the two. This is probably one of the best episodes for all 3 characters. They go into a hotel room where they see the decayed body of a pilot, maybe, or maybe a warship person. I don't know. And it's the first time Worf answers an old style telephone. Like, well, it's long before cell phones were around. Pretty funny. But Data turns on his poker program in his mind. It's just really, really funny. So this one's a really good episode. I really like this one. Casino Royale. It's kind of based on a book. I'm not sure if Casino Royale is a. Let me look that up. Casino Royale. Because I know there's a Casino Royale with James Bond, but it's not the same. Casino Royale. Yeah. Star Trek. Let's look that up. The Royale. Okay, so it's a 21st century Earth spaceship. Okay. Orbiting a distant planet and the appearance of a casino with inhabitants based on a rather poorly written paperback novel. Okay. That is NASA. There's a NASA spaceport. So this would probably have to be closer to the 2100s. Still the 20. Yeah, probably. It says late or early. Let's see. It says 21st century. Probably the very late, like 2099 or something like that. So anyway, okay. So this is interesting. Old United States of America containing 52 stars for 52 states in America. We have 50 states here. So somehow in a future, mid 21st century future, there are 52 states in the union. That's interesting. So funny. Blackjack is in the game. That's what it is. Worth trying to fire on an elevator door. I think that's interesting. Okay, so this man died 283 years ago from 24. So this would have to be, I'd say, before Kirk. Around the time, I would say around the time of Jonathan Archer was when this man died. Colonel S. Ritchie. Interesting. So it had to be 2033, which is 12 years from now. Now, 2021. It'll be 2022 in a few months. But this happens to be 2033, it's like 2079. World War III, according to Star Trek, happens in 2053. So Hotel Royale. I wonder if this is a real. I don't think it's a real book. Someone put it together. Todd Matthews, sometime in the early 21st century, is the story of a group of gamblers caught up in a web of crime, corruption, deceit, narrated by Mickey D. Hmm. So it's not a real book. I don't think. It looks like a real book, but it's not a real book. Hotel Royale. Let's see if that Hotel Royale book. Hmm. It is completely fictitious. The Royale, yeah. I really like that episode. It's funny, really funny. Next one is Times Squared, where Picard is duplicated. Um, Not the best episode of this season, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. The Icarus Factor is the first time where Riker gets to see his estranged father, and Worf gets to go through the age of what was it called? Age of not the age of inclusion, age of ascension. That's the one. He gets to the age of ascension, which he probably missed 10 years before this, or Klingons go through age of ascension every 10 years. I don't know. Um, but Worf has some emotional issues because he probably missed his age of ascension because he was on Earth the whole time, and I don't think his adoptive parents, the Rosenkos, knew about it that I know of. So he goes through that, and by then, you know, Riker and his dad, Kyle Riker, they get reacquainted. They leave on good terms, and Worf is satisfied that his ritual went well, holographic or not, just went well. So it's a good episode. Talks about family, talks about tradition, so it's pretty good. Next, almost done. There's only 22 episodes in this one. Pen Pals has to do with Data rescuing a girl whose family is killed on a planet. And I forget the girl's name. Somehow he contacts this girl. I think she is sending it to Swiss first, and Data answers it. Um, Interesting. It's interesting. It's not a bad episode. Um, it's a good one. The name of the girl is Shoshanka, I think. Let me look that up. Let me look that up. Pen Pals Star Trek. in that episode, we see Patrick Stewart ride on a horse, which was I guess was a pastime for Picard. What's her name? Sarjenka, yeah, Sarjenka is her name. Next is Q-Who. This is the first time where the Enterprise crew encounters the Borg. Many of you know the Best of Both Worlds. That cliffhanger episode is the best episode of Star Trek Next Generation, bar none. Um, Redemption's also very good, but the Best of Both Worlds is noted as one of the best episode of the whole series. This one is where Q comes back and he makes the Enterprise go to a certain portion of the galaxy where the Borg, where the Borg are, and they make first contact with the Borg, pretty much. Of course, John Delancey has improved in his speech and the writing has improved for his character Q. Very well, has improved a lot. So I really like this episode. The Borg are probably one of the best villain creations ever since, Darth Vader and the Sith of Star Wars. So this is a good episode. I really like this one. Got about 7 more to go. Samaritan Snare. George's life is jeopardized when the alien race kidnaps him. That is the Pakleds. And I don't like this episode because of the Pakleds. Pakleds and the Ferengi are my least favorite species, honestly. I don't like them. Okay. Just Picard is near death when his artificial heart has problems and he has to get it replaced. So we take care of that. But not one of the best episodes. Up the long ladder. This is a funny one. This one's probably the funniest episode in the season. This one has to be the funniest. It's really, really funny. I like this one. So you'll have to watch it for yourself. Next is Manhunt. On the way to a conference, Troy's mother boards Enterprise and flirts with Picard. Manhunt. Does that have to do with the Ferengi? Manhunt. That's Menage a Troy, I think. I don't think this is the one. Oh, that's Menage a Troy. I think when Lwaxana and Deanna are kidnapped. This is this is the one where Fleetwood Mac come onto the ship, and they're actually assassins. And TDMs. And they go, this is the one where they go to Pacifica for a conference, and the Intedians are actually assassins. They're concealing weapons, and it's not until the end of the episode that this is realized. But Fleetwood Mac, Mac Fleetwood is in this episode, I believe. So this is a pretty interesting episode, but I'm not entirely a fan of Lwaxana Troy. I love the late Major Barrett, as the voice of the computer. Excuse me, but she's a little too much. She's too much, especially for Picard. Especially for Picard. But this one is it's an okay episode. Um, let's see. Oh, they go back. Oh, they go back into the holodeck where Picard plays Dixon Hill again. It's pretty cool. Mr. Holman's there. I think Picard. Is it Picard who has to carry the luggage? I think Picard has to carry the luggage for the first time, and then Riker carries the luggage next time. That's a funny part. Um, funny part. Anyhow, yeah, Mac Fleetwood isn't here. Blah blah blah. Scarface. Robert. Oh, okay. So that's Robert O'Reilly. He later plays Gowron. Gowron? Yeah, Gowron. Uh, so that's the first time we see Robert O'Reilly in that episode. That's pretty cool. So yeah, Mac Fleetwood is as Antedian dignitary. So that's kind of cool. Peter Adrevsky, I think he is in, or Mick Fleetwood, not Mac Fleetwood. Mick Fleetwood. Yeah, so Peter is also in Antedian. So that's cool. Awesome. Oh, he's not. Oh, he's not in. Oh, he's not in the band. He's just not. Okay. I thought he was in the band as well. But Mick Fleetwood is in this episode. So this one's not a bad one. This one's actually a pretty good one. Next, 2 more episodes to go and then we'll be done. The Emissary is really good. We get to see Kalar, who was Worf's mate before he went on to before he reported to the Enterprise. And they have to encounter a ship of Klingons who believe that there's still war going on, and that war was over a long time ago. Long time ago. There's a time in between this one and Reunion where Worf sees Kalar, and of course, she has their son Alexander, and Alexander is probably 2 or 3 years old by the time Reunion shows up. So, yeah, Reunion. So, this one's a pretty good episode. I really like this episode where Worf takes command of the Enterprise briefly, but he takes command of the Enterprise. He pretends to be a Klingon who takes command of the Enterprise. Takes Picard and the other crew hostage, sort of, so to speak. But it's only an illusion. But this one's a good episode. I really like this one. 2 more. Next at the Emissary is peak performance. A Ferengi ambushed the Enterprise and another vessel during a battle simulation. Okay. The Zach Dornian person, the character here. He's a little weird. The way he speaks is a little weird. Um, and I believe this is the one where I think the Picard maneuver is used in this episode, I believe. So this is not a bad one. This is not a bad one. Next is the last episode of this season. It's Shades of Grey, where Riker is being infected by an alien and infected by an alien is used as the basis for clips. Okay, that's a that is a bad description there. Let's look at what the description is for this one in the actual Shades of Grey. So Riker gets infected by an alien parasite while on an away mission. Dr. Pelican soon discovers that the only way to save Riker's life was to force his mind to relieve painful memories. Interesting. Very interesting. So this is a pretty good episode for Jonathan Frakes. Pretty good episode for him. So that's season 1 and 2. I'll do other seasons later. I might do one. Most likely, I'll do one later today or tomorrow for sure. But this is Star Trek opinions for season 1 and 2 of Star Trek Next Generation. So I'm gonna let you guys go. There will be another video. I will be reading more of the Federalist Papers in the next video, so stay tuned for that. And so this video, when it's done uploading onto YouTube, this will be put into the in the playlist Star Trek Opinion. So look that up. Okay, look that up. Yeah. So I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more videos. Okay. Well, it's been a year, about a year. I ne- I never came back to do the rest of the series, so I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna use Memory Alpha for this, uh, and we're gonna start this portion in season 3. Oh, come on. There we go. What was the name of that actress that played her? Shajenka. Let's see. Oh. Oh, excuse me. Oh gosh. What's the? I think I passed it. Oh, it's the first one for Earl Grey. That's why I didn't know that. Forgot about that one. That's right. Yeah. Uh, Nikki Cox is her name. She's still around? Wow, she's 44. Oh, she was in Terminator 2 as well. Wow. Huh. Okay. Let's finish. Let's finish this. Excuse me. 9:30. Okay. Okay. Uh, excuse me. Sorry. Go all the way to the bottom of the page. Hmm. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Season 3. Speaking with season 3. Evolution. Evolution has to do with Dr. Stubbs, who is yeah, Dr. Stubbs, who is looking at is that a pulsar? Let's see here. A red giant, excuse me. A red giant. A binary star system. Okay. And a red giant. So there's a stellar explosion. But Dr. Stubbs destroys a portion of the Enterprise. Um, well, first of all, by an accident done by Wesley Crusher, nanites, which are microscopic robots, basically. Nanites get loose and they crawl all over the ship. They mess up the Enterprise. Um, and pretty much the nanites disrupt the experiment that Dr. Stubbs has. And Dr. Stubbs, in anger, destroys a portion of a, a lower deck of the Enterprise and destroys nanites. And of course, Dr. Stubbs is punished for it, not killed, but punished at least. And it's interesting how the nanites are able to communicate through data. That's a pretty cool one. So so that's pretty cool. Okay, next one. Evolution. Ensigns of Command. This I don't know why. I think the title of this episode is incorrect. The title of the episode is, I believe, is wrong. Ensigns of Command. I think this should be called the Shellyak. Should be the name of this episode. This is where a group of people who survive the natural atmosphere of a planet, they survive finally, and they're in their like the third or fourth generation, and then this alien species called the Shellyak come in, and they claim the planet. And the Shellyak have an interesting costume, have an interesting look. The name of the planet is Tau Cygni 5, the Shellyak corporate to the Armans. Hyperonic radiation, that's the one. It's lethal to humans, but humans later survived. Excuse me, sorry. Um, Shellyak corporate. Data tries to teach people a lesson, but the funny part is Picard compromising with a Shellyak using some big many worded treaty or code, whatever, and they have to, you know, I think it's a treaty, and Picard demands 3 weeks, and finally the Shellyak say say you, you shall have your 3 weeks, Picard of the Enterprise. Yeah, it's a good episode. I like it. Cast of characters. Hmm, okay. Cantor, yeah. Audrey McKenzie. Mart McChesney is the Shellyak. Grisellas. Too bad that shell egg I'm not used after this. All right, but the only problem with this episode is the title of the episode. I think the title's wrong. Answers of Command belongs. The title belongs to the episode where um, there's a Cardassian who defects to the Federation, and Ensign Cito, who we see in First Duty, she later appears on Enterprise as a test by Picard, which is a decent test. Let's see, evolution. Oh yeah, sorry. The Ensigns of Command. I think this is 3 or 2. Oh, 3 or 3. Oops. And oh yeah. The Survivors were an interesting episode. The older gentleman in this episode is an alien, immortal alien called a Dowd, and his species is known as, excuse me, let's see, Rashawn Uxbridge, Kevin and Rashawn Uxbridge. Okay. The music box portion was a little weird, really weird. But the Husnak, the Dowd and the Husnak are mortal enemies. And every time the Husnak would come and destroy the planet, within minutes, the planet's back. It's only because of Mr. Uxbridge is an immortal alien and his wife is just like a hologram, for lack of a better word. Just a figment of the imagination. Unfortunately, the wife died long ago. And the only survivor is Mr. Uxbridge the Dowd. This is an interesting episode. I actually like this episode. I think this episode teaches us to be content even when we lose those who are valuable to us. We can't let pride and foolishness, selfishness to prevent us from moving forward. I think that's the lesson in this episode. Next episode is Who Watches the Watchers. This is the first time we see a duck blind in action. Kind of cool. We later see a duck blind in Star Trek Insurrection. The people here are like primitive. I want to say the primitive Vulcans, so to speak. This is a good episode. I like this one. Next one, the bonding. Okay, the bonding. This is a big Worf episode. Worf loses a member of the away team, and later there's an alien that takes the form of this officer who's a mother, and the mother has a boy. The officer has a boy named Jeremy Astor. Jeremy Astor. Uh, it's hard to comfort him. Um, it's hard for him to let go when he sees his mother again. It's hard for him to let go. It takes a while for him to understand that this the the appearing of his mother is only an alien manifestation. Um, Marla Astor is still dead. Uh, the young boy who played Jeremy Astor, he did pretty good. And later, Jeremy Astor is added to the family, to Worf's family. It's kind of adopted into Worf's family, which is cool. So it's like a not stepbrother, but like a foster brother to Alexander later on. Next, booby trap. Oh, this is an interesting one. The music in this episode is pretty interesting. I think Dennis McCarthy was responsible for the music in this episode. There's a booby trap here, and apparently this is an area of space um, where an energy traps ships and disables ships. And 1,000 years ago, there was a battle, and I think all the ships were destroyed. So I think it looks like an entire planet was destroyed here too. And then you got this array. No, that's a ship. That's a derelict ship. Or really is 9. Ship in a bottle. This Data says, I was never a boy. I do not play with toys. We get introduced to Leah Brahms for the first time. That's interesting. Picard takes a helm. Yeah. That's cool. We get to see the real Leah Brahms later. So this is a good episode. I like this one. Next is in season 4, The Enemy. Ooh, this is a good one. When Geordi's trapped on a planet left behind because there's big storm interference with transporters, and I think the Enterprise leaves and it comes back, and Wesley Crusher, I think it is, solves a problem, and Geordi and this Romulan is saved. What's Romulan's name? Galordan Core. Oh, in Galordan Core. Yeah. Sita? No. What's his name? Pamalak. I think this is the first time we should meet Commander Tamalak. Bakra. Bakra is the Romulan left behind. Okay, the price. First first wormhole, only known stable wormhole. Actually, that's not true anymore. According to Deep Space Nine, there's another one in the Alpha Quadrant. But this is probably the only stable wormhole in the Beta Quadrant, I believe. The Vanani Raw, yeah. Mendoza. Into the wormhole. Oh, Shotapop goes in the wormhole, I think. Ferengi get left behind. That's funny. Huh. Okay. This one's an okay episode. It's not the best. It's okay. It's an okay episode. The Vengeance Factor. Two warring parties, it looks like. I don't think there's. I want to say this one has to be one of the least favorite of episodes in this series, and especially for this season. It's not a favorite for me either. So let's go on to the next one. Oh, the defector. I just saw this one. James Sloyan is a really good actor. His diction is similar to Hugo Weaving in The Matrix and Lord of the Rings. James Sloyan, really good. He played an older Alexander Rishenko. If I can find that episode. But James Sloyan, I think he's still alive. He plays Admiral Jarak. Admiral Hayden. About gut feelings. Mm-hmm. Philotis and Chip. Question of Trust. It's a good title episode. Okay. It's probably one of my more favorite ones for some reason. The Hunted. This okay. This one's okay. This is the episode where we have James Cromwell for the first time. Yeah, it's The Hunted. Okay. It's a good episode. The High Ground. Oh, this is where the Beverly Crusher's taken hostage. Not the best. I'm sorry, but not the best episode. Good acting by Gates McFadden, but not the best episode. Deja Q. Oh, this has got to be John DeLance's best performance as a Q who lost his powers. These aren't my colors. Hmm. Yeah, Calamarain. There's a planet that's about to uh, uh I believe there's a is there a meteor that's about to hit a planet, I think. Oh, it's their moon. That's right. Their moon is coming out of its apogee. Is the word. But this is John Delancey's best best performance, and also Whoopi Goldberg's best too. Next in season 5, no, season 4, no, season 3. Matter of perspective. Oh yeah, this is where Riker is falsely accused of murder, and they go through the holodeck, and you recreate the scene of the crime. Uh, it is it murder or suicide or accidental suicide? I think it's murder. It's a good episode. Yes, it is Enterprise, one of the best, one of the most recognized episodes where Tasha Yar comes back. Denise Crosby comes back as Tasha Yar. And this alternate reality episode is where Sela will come from later on. So I don't like that Worf was not in the alternate reality. I don't like that. But it's understandable why he wasn't, because the alternate reality took place during the time of Enterprise C with Captain Rachel Garrett. And you got Christopher McDonald here too. The offspring. Data creates a daughter. Data creates an android child. Um, this could be labeled controversial as well, I think. Um, Lol is later, um, like Professor Moriarty. Lol is featured in a book called The Light Fantastic. Star Trek book called The Light Fantastic. And later on in Star Trek Picard, Lol has two other sisters, and Soji and her sister. I forget the name now. But in Star Trek Picard season 1. This one's a good episode. That's probably one of Brent's best episodes, portraying an android dad. So pretty cool. Sins of the Father, favorite episode of the series. Everyone knows that this is the episode where we meet Kern for the first time, Tony Todd, uh, uh, Charles Cooper plays Kim Peck. He also played another Klingon in Star Trek 4. No, Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier. Um, we're introduced to Duras for the first time. Uh, really, really cool episode. Love this episode. I can watch this episode almost over and over. That's how good it is. Next is Allegiance. I just watched this one today. It's pretty good. Talks about freedom, rights, and capture, imprisonment for no reason. Imprisonment for no reason, or imprisonment for someone else's study. Almost like an animal imprisonment, but worse because it has to do with humans. Yeah, this is a pretty good episode. Captain's Holiday. No, not the best. Not the best. I don't like it. Tin Man. No, not a fan of Tin Man. Hollow Pursuits. Reginald Barkley goes a little haywire. Yeah, this don't like this one. Uh, Dwight Schultz does better in Nth Degree for sure. The Most Toys, no. Season three's not as good, but it's almost got as much bad episodes as season two. Sarek is good. I love Mark Leonard. Great acting by Mark Leonard and the lady who played Perrin, his second wife. Really good. Sokath, you see him part of his face right there. Interesting. And the mind meld. Oh, the mind meld between the the uh the effect of the mind meld on Picard's side. Really good acting by Patrick Stewart in that one. Menage a Troy. Yeah, not the best episode. Not the best episode for this one for this season. Transfiguration. I also watched this one this morning. This is not bad. Just like you know this Zach Dornian. No, uh, not Zach Dorian. He is a Zalconian. Yeah. Zalconian. It's a pretty good episode. I watched it today. It's not bad. It's like the Zalconian has like healing powers, and they work better than some of these, crazy preachers you see on TV today. This guy's actually healing people, and then he becomes a just a illuminescent light creature, a new type of Zalconian. Interesting. Best of both worlds. Oh yeah, the best episode, the best cliffhanger episode, the best episode. Period. Love the best of both worlds. Family's good too. The next one. Now we're getting into season 4. Suddenly Human. Okay, this one's a good one. This one's a good episode. What's the kid's name? Human boy living among aliens. Talarians, yeah. Jonah, yeah. Jer Jeremiah Russia, yeah. Also known as Jonah. Good episode, that one. Suddenly Human. Brothers. Ooh, Laura's back. This is probably Brent Spiner's best episode because he's playing not just 2, he's playing 3 characters. He plays Dr. Soong, he plays Lore and Data. Very well done. Family. This is the best one for Picard. Patrick Stewart. This is probably Patrick Stewart's best performance besides Measure of a Man. Remember Me. This was a weird one. A lot of fans did not like this episode, and I'm one of them. So I'm gonna give it a thumbs down on this one. Legacy, we get to meet Tasha Yar's sister. Interesting. Not a bad episode. But she works with the Federation, but she has ulterior motives. You know, which kind of stings. But Reunion can't beat Reunions. Great episode. Great Klingon episode. Is this the one where Kalar is killed and then Duras is killed? Worf kills Duras. It's cool. Future Imperfects. Oh, this is where that is one reunions where we meet Alexander Rashenko for the first time. Is it? Yes. First one. Future Imperfect. Interesting episode. We thought that the Romulans would be behind Riker's memory lapse, but it's actually this alien who plays a young son of Riker and Minuet. Interesting. Final mission. Okay. Wesley goes back to Starfleet Academy after this, and we really don't see him much until I think final first duty, and then uh where one of the last episodes of season 7 where Wesley becomes a traveler for the first time. The loss. Oh, this is the worst episode in the series. One Moon Circles, is that the one? Oh, the game. Yeah, the game. First Duty Parallels and Journey's End. That's the one where Wesley becomes a traveler. Yeah, so I think this is the one. I think this is the one. Could be another one. Trying to think. Okay, let's move on. I think it's that one. One moon, two lights, one moon, circles. Data's Day. This is an interesting episode. Data chronicles a full day in his work. A Vulcan ambassador shows up, but she's actually a Romulan person. Interesting. The Wounded. Oh, this is the Bob Gutton Benjamin Waxwell episode. This is a really good episode. I really like this one. Is where we hear the song. Um, the the minstrel boy to the war has gone. In the rank of death, you will find him. That one. Devil's Due is really weird. it's like Satan, uh, satanic worship almost. That's what. That's satanic worship. Yeah, this one's a weird one. But I like how Data plays a judge. Data plays a judge in this one. That's funny. That's funny. Clues is a really good one. Clues is really good when Data apparently lies, uh, but by the end of the episode, he's actually not lying. He's obeying an order that Picard doesn't remember giving him. That's probably one of the best episodes. Top 5 episodes. First Contact. Yeah, this is the one. No, that's I'm thinking of another one. This one I don't like. Not the best episode. Yeah, I don't like this one. It's weird. Galaxy's Child. Oh, this is where we meet the real Leah Brahms. This is good. That's a good episode. Night Terrors. This is the one I'm thinking. I have to watch The Lost again. I have to watch The Lost again. But this one is the worst episode in the entire series. One moon, circles, one moon. One moon, circles. Eyes in the dark, one moon, circles. Yeah, this is one of the worst episodes. I'm sorry, one of the worst. No, not one of the worst. The worst episode. It's worse than any season 1 episode. Worse. Identity Crisis is really good. This one was almost kind of scary when I was a kid when watching this. Uh, LeVar Burton did a really good job in this episode. Really good job. Really good job. One of LeVar's best episodes in this one. Barclay is back. Nth Degree, where Barclay becomes the computer. That's cool. And they meet the Cytherians. And that's cool. Cupid. Oh my gosh. This is it's not the best episode, it's not the worst episode. It's kind of in the middle. Uh this is the episode where Worf breaks the wooden guitar against a tree. Uh best one line of Worf is I protest, sir. I am not a merman. You know, it's kind of in the middle. It's got its good parts. It's got bad parts in this episode. Q as the sheriff of Nottingham, Cardis, Robin Hood, Vosh as Maid Marian, Friar Tuck as no John Little is Riker, and Fry took his data. Weird. Very weird. The Drumhead, this is a really good one. One of the best episodes of the series is the Drumhead. And this is Michael Dorn's favorite episode I read. So this is really good. I like this one. Another court drama similar to Measure of a Man. Really good. Half a Life. It's okay. It's not the best. After Half a Life is The Host. All this has to do. This is the first trill we see in the history of Star Trek. And this trill does not have all the spots, I don't think. Not like the Dax symbiont does. But Odin dies, and Riker gets the Odin symbiont. Interesting. The Mind's Eye. Oh, this one's a good one. LaForge is taken prisoner and being brainwashed by the Romulans into killing an ambassador, I believe. Or not an ambassador, but he's a Klingon officer. It's a really good episode. Probably again a great performance by LeVar Burton. So we're almost done with this season. Tomorrow I'll do seasons 5 and 6. In theory, it's directed by Patrick Stewart. Number 1, number 2 is probably one of Brent's best episodes. Besides the ones where he plays numerous Soong characters, and he plays Sherlock Holmes in Elementary Dear Data, and later in Ship and Apollo. Interesting. But this one's pretty good. Redemption Part 1. Yes. We meet Gowron for the first time, I believe. No, second time. So yeah. I believe this is the end of season 3 and 4. So this will be 3 and 4 with a recap of 1 and 2. So have a great day.